how you doing? Hey Emmy. So I thought I would show off a few more pens today. So this is really just looking at my pen drawer. Hey, washable lawyer. So what I'll try and do, I've got this really cumbersome tripod, but I will try and move it along the drawer so you can kind of see. Hey, pen boffin. A few, like I told everybody, you have them all. Well, not them all. Hey, Chris Truffet. So I thought I'd just go through a few of the pens today that I've got here in my drawer. So I'm going to try and move the tripod very slowly so you can actually see. This is the Visconti drawer. You'll see there's a whole load of Homo sapiens there and Davinas. Some travelling inkwells. There's a whole load more pens at the back there as well. Some of the silver overlays. So this is basically my whole Visconti drawer. I think there's 55 or 56 there at the moment. And then I have another drawer, which strangely has a lot more pens. Yes, there's a lot more empty slots there, Chris. You're going to try and sell me some pens, maybe. So this drawer has a load of Pelicans here. So you've got the Pelican M800s, the M1000, have some Pilot Custom 823s, a couple of Arcos here, have the Ogiva and the Bologna. Custom pens, classic pens, LB5 and then LM1. Some Conway Stewarts here, the red, the green, the blue and the green. A Parker Duofold, and then I've got some others like Mont Blancs and other pens that are there. Things like Platinum 3776, have is it the Sailor? Yeah. That actually has a, I'll show you, I'll zoom in a bit. Get that nib. That actually has the Naginata Togi. So it's actually a, more of an architect join. Hey Spooky. Hey Eric. Hey Penny. And then I have some Conklin Nighthawks. These are the Goulet ones. And then some Edisons. So these are Colliers. A Perlet. A couple of Monteverdes, a Wingsung. And of course some Pilot Parallels. Have a couple of over here, a couple of pen BBSs. These are actually quite new, actually. I'll show you these. The material is the Hawaiian. They are really, really nice, these pen BBSs. And not that expensive as well, but it's really hard to try and get hold of these. I was so glad that I was able to get hold of these when I could. But the range of colours there is simply amazing. Have a sparkly Jinhao as well. So that's the, I think the X750. I think it's called Shimmering Sands. Hey Marissa. You want the yellow-black one? Which is the yellow-black one? What, you mean the yellow-blue one? I've not seen a yellow-black one. If I zoom out a little bit. Hey, I love chubby unicorns. Pencaster. Hey, Marissa. So there's a lot more gin house at the back here on this one. Some Twisbees as well. I'm going to show you. So this is the Pelican Warden. This is the M800 Royal Gold. And these are Warden strips going throughout the whole of the body. I have to have a look at the Canalea. They do some good pens. And then some Arcos. And these are just spectacular. So this is the Ogiva. Yeah, that Verdon. Where did I get that, Chris? So that's the Ogiva, and then this is the Bologna. And that is just so stunning. Just rotate the pen and it just comes alive. Yeah, the M800s, I do like the M800s. A lot of people are looking at the Ocean Swirl, which has come out recently. Mine has about a half of it, in quarters, about half of it is black and half of it is light green, but when you turn the pen, it just comes to life. Yeah, I've not had any problems with the lining on the Bologna. And then this is the vibrant blue of the Pelican M800 or the M805. And that's like a blue cracked ice effect. So that as well is quite stunning. Arco is overrated in price, I would say, definitely. But it is a nice material. This is the M800 Renaissance Brown. I've got most of my M800s have got broad nibs on them. Let's see if I can zoom in. There you go. What else have I got here? I've got the classic pens, LB5, and that is gorgeous with the fusion bonded acrylic. And again, that just shimmers as the light catches it. Very, very nice pen. That's basically a Sailor King of pen, and it has the Sailor King of pen nib, 21 carat. And that's just a regular medium, so equivalent of a Western Fine. A lot of people also like the LM1, the Flame Red. That's, again, fusion of bonded acrylic. Try and zoom in a bit more and focus. You'll see that. It's a little bit more darker off camera. There you go. Maybe sort of just reflect the light away from it a little bit. You can see that. And that's just has a Bock 18 carat nib on there. Just a classic pens nib. What other pens have we got? The Conway Stewarts. These are normally quite nice as well. This is the Red Stardust, and that has gold sparkles in the body, which is quite nice. I actually have two of those. I have it in the Series 100, and I have a Churchill. The Churchill, you can see it there. It's almost like a galaxy. It's just sort of moving around in space. Very, very, very lovely material. Again, that's another material that's hard to get. I've also got it in the blue Stardust as well, which is really nice. And the light catches that very, very nicely there. What other pens have we got? There's an Edison that I got recently. And that's, I believe it's Antique Marble. This is called. That actually looks quite nice. And you see it's almost like a tiger's eye when you rotate it. The chatoyance on that is really nice. Strange enough, I like pens with chatoyance. There's also another Edison I got here as well. So I don't all just have Visconti pens, I have a lot of other pens as well. These are just a few. Yeah, the Ruby Red Pelican's nice, definitely. And let's see what else. We've got Visconti's here. I'm going to post a review shortly of this, but this is the Goulet exclusive Visconti Opera Master Luna. And that has sparkles within the body, and that just is amazing. Some people say it's a little bit too sparkly. Personally, I actually like it. It's very difficult to photograph. It's good on video though. And a recent acquisition of mine, which Chris helped me get, is the Gold Dust, the Opera Master from Visconti. And this actually does have, if I get it right, gold in the body there. It's just a really, really nice sort of smoky swirl. Just going to try and catch up on the comments a little bit. I do need more fine nibs, definitely. I tend to have more medium. Some can patina the caps, yeah. If it is copper or brass. I've not seen the new ones at the writing desk, the new Conway Stewart, so I'll have to have a look at those. Are those Series 100s maybe? Yeah, the Luna really is gorgeous, and likewise this Golden Dust. So I was lucky to actually pick this up when I could. What else do we have here? We have the new one that I got from Chris Truffet, who's on here, watching the stream, which is the Visconti Opera Silver Dust. And that just pops as well. Looks really nice when you have ink in the body. Zoom out a little bit and you can see the whole pen there. So that's similar to like a London Fog or Florentine Hills. And this is my London Fog. And this is inked up with Diamine Earl Grey at the moment. It does very much a different pen when inked up. Yeah, the Silver Dust is a very nice pen. I'm quite surprised about it actually. Let's bring it back out. And the ink in there at the moment is Mont Blanc Oyster Grey. So it's not a black ink, it's a grey ink, but yeah, it does look really, really nice. And you can actually zoom in on, see if I can get some of these gold particles, or sorry, silver particles. They seem to be like silver shavings that are suspended within the resin rather than actually silver dust, but still very nice. Any pens that anybody would like to look at today? I can show you. This is the Corsani 90. I showed this the other day. This is the stacked coin celluloid. It just pops as you rotate it. This is a lovely, lovely pen. Unfortunately sold out now. Yeah, you'd have to pick it up on the used market. And then the octagonal, which I know, Emmy, you have. This is, again, stacked celluloid. And I have the Wall Street as well. Again, another stacked celluloid. I don't have any other Vardens at the moment. The M800 is the only one. The Royal Gold is the only one that I have at the moment. I have been looking at some others, but non-Pelicans. Yeah, it's. At some point, I probably will pick some up. No, it's not stained. It's just it's inked up at the moment, so there's just some ink in the cap. And this is a Visconti Bronze Age lava Marzi. So you can actually see this is a painting, an airbrush painting that Claudio Marzi did of Mount Etna, which is actually where the lava, which is mixed with the resin, actually makes this pen, or all of the Bronze Ages, the Dark Age and Still Age. And you can see here, when you zoom in, you can actually see the pitting from the lava. It's very tough material. The clips and all of the material is bronze, so it will patina. So you can clean off the patina and make it more shiny again with a polishing cloth, or you can just leave it to patina itself. So I have that one. I have a regular Bronze Age as well, still at the moment, although I may get rid of that at some point. That's a little bit more patinaed. Yeah, the Silver Homo Sapiens does look really nice. This is a Divina Desert Springs, and that material is very good as well. The chatoyance on this it's almost like sand suspended in the body of the material. And again, sort of the chatoyance, the shimmering that can occur under certain light. Like, see if I can get it there. To clean a power filler, yeah. So the easiest way that I find is if you can unscrew the nib, either be careful and do it with your finger and thumb, the index finger and thumb, or use a nib removal tool. Then if you can remove that, then it's a lot easier to flush it out, because you can just ink up an ink syringe with water and just flush it out that way, and then just let it dry. Stand the pen up vertical on some kitchen towel, and maybe use some cotton swabs to actually go inside the barrel. That's the easiest way to clean them out. If you can't do that, then yeah, it's really like if I don't take the nibs out on mine, I will probably just take a clean glass of water and try and ink the water up into the pen probably 10 to 12 times, and just keep flushing it out until it's relatively clean. That's really the only way to get them clean, and you will still get some ink residue. So this is a power vac filler. This is the I'll be posting a video review on YouTube soon about this. This is a Decali Palazzo, and you'll see that even though I flush this out, a lot of times I've taken the nib off, even used Q-tips, cotton swabs, you still do get some inky residue of water in the barrel that you can't get at behind the piston O-rings. So you'll never get them 100% clean. You could probably use some kind of like, I want to say blowtorch, but not a blowtorch, some kind of like air compressor or something that isn't too powerful. The only thing I would be concerned about there is blowing that into it. It might dry out some of the silicone grease. The easiest way is just to remove the nib, and like, you're never going to get it 100% clean, unfortunately, with a power filler. That's really one of the benefits of a cartridge converter. It's a lot more easier to clean. Yeah, taking the nib off and shaking it well is a good way. And just sitting it vertically on some kitchen towel and let it drain out if you can. But you still will get some sort of inky residue sort of spots around the barrel that just gravity will not bring down to the bottom. Do I have any problems with the plastic collars on the nib units like you, Emmy? Do you mean that they're very tight and you can't unscrew them? I do have a few nibs like that. Even with the nib removal tool, they're just way too tight and almost impossible. I think I have, two, maybe three that are like that. So not many in the collection. A blowtorch to clean out the pen, yeah. Yeah, you probably fry the celluloid. Celluloid and fire does not go well. It can be quite combustible, as I understand it. Yeah, you can certainly use an ink syringe. You can flush it out with water that way, a little bit more high pressure. That water will get somewhere where you couldn't get to before. You can also use it to actually suck the water back out if you can get to it. The problem I find, like with this one here, is if I try to show you, like if I can zoom in a little bit, like you'll see that there's like ink around here, around the barrel, and if I pull the piston back, the O-ring brings all the ink back behind it. And then so you think, well, okay, the barrel's a lot cleaner, but when you push it back again, it all comes back. So the problem is getting behind that O-ring, and that's sort of impossible to do on most of the power vac fillers. So that is the problem, unfortunately. So you will never get them 100% clean. You'll get them as clean as you can, like a little few drops of inky water that are diluted like that really won't hurt when you're inking it up with another ink. But yeah, if you want to have them look like brand new, if you were going to sell them, for instance, or you just want to take some photographs and post them on Instagram or do some videos, then you're not going to get them 100% clean. The easiest way I've done it over the last couple of days, creating some videos, is basically doing what I did here. It is that literally you just unscrew the mechanism, the piston knob, and then pull the piston right back. And then if you can take off the nib or the section, then you can get some cotton swabs in there, Q-tips, and just soak up any of the ink that's there and then just leave it like that. So if you wanted to photograph or video the pen, that's the best way to do it. But yes, it's very difficult. Like once the pen's been inked, it's very difficult to get it as clean as possible. I'd love to know how Visconti do it. I'm sure that they can take it apart more than what we can. I'm sure they have some extra tools to be able to do that. The lava pens, you also have to be very careful because they are hygroscopic, so they will actually, if you ink it up in the bottle, within a second or two, that ink will actually start seeping into the section and then disappear. So what I normally do there, my trick to get all of the ink out very quickly is to wipe it with a kitchen towel, a dry kitchen towel, then a wet kitchen towel, and then you'll get a whole load more ink out. of the section there, and then do another dry kitchen towel, and that helps to actually try and not let the ink seep in, because obviously you don't want it to stain that lava material because it's hygroscopic, so it will seep into that, and then it will seep out again later on, so you have to be very careful with that. A few more pens. This is the Divina Elegance green one. This is nice with the rose gold trim, and it has a rose gold nib as well. Again, the chatoyance on this, you can see here just how the light reflects off of that material is stunning. And you have obviously the rods there. Normally on the Divinas they're silver rods. This is a rose gold coloured rod. Yeah, Chris, definitely it's time intensive trying to clean out the pens. Yeah, I agree, Tracy. Nib definitely needs to come out for sure. That's the best way to actually clean them. Yeah, I thought about trying to do a video of cleaning as well. See if I can do a cleaning video. It might help a few people a little bit more. Very difficult though. You need multiple pairs of hands for that. A lot more difficult. And I want to try and avoid an inky mess. Doing what David Parker Fig Boots did when he tried to ink up his pen from the travelling inkwell, and it shot across the room. Sort of that can be quite a pain if that happens. Yeah, I do have an ultrasonic cleaner. I don't use it that much, to be honest. I've found that the majority of the time, I don't put the Viscontis in there, the Powervacs. I guess cleaning the nibs, yeah, you could take the nibs out and put those in there. That will certainly help clean them out more. I found sort of cleaning a lot of my cartridge converter pens that I just use a regular ink syringe filled with water to clean out the converter, and then suck out the water with that. And then a bulb syringe just to put pressure through the nib and get most of the ink out. See you, Chris. So yeah, it's that I find, like, if I do that and I'll flush it through a couple of times with the bulb syringe, the nibs. If I try to put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, then I get hardly any ink out. So I find normally that's a quicker method for me. But if you want to clean maybe a dozen pens, then probably the ultrasonic cleaner is best. Just remember which nib came from which pen, if you want to have them all go back into the same pen. Has there ever been a Visconti that you just hated the look of? Yeah, there's tons. There's that Alchemy, which is like, is it $30,000-$40,000? It's a two nib pen, a nib on each end. Yeah, there's that. There are non-Viscontis as well, like is it the Monte Grappa Pirates pen? Like, I can understand it's a work of art and it looks nice, but to try and write with that I just would not like. So a lot of people say, are you a collector or a user? I'm definitely a user. I have to ink up my pens and use them. I don't really consider myself being a collector, because a collector in a lot of cases collects everything. And although it may look as though I have everything, I definitely do not. So there are a lot of Viscontis that I just won't even touch. There definitely are ones that I don't like the look of, but I will only get the ones I do like the look of. But I've had a relatively good run with Visconti. Not that many problems with Viscontis. I had a power failure, a power vac failure on one of the Gen 1s. I actually noticed again the other day on one of my operas getting a little bit of a corrosion actually around the tip of the nib. So this is going to go back to Visconti. I don't know, Tracy, if you've seen that on any of yours, but that's kind of worrying there. I think the last ink I had that inked up with was Organic Studio Walden Pond. Whether or not it's the ink that's done that, or whether or not it's just sort of corroded over time, but that doesn't look nice. So that one at some point we'll be sending back to Visconti. Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? There's definitely. I thought initially it was ink, and then it was like, no, that's corroded. Hey, Pierre. But other than that, really, I've had a few issues with a couple of nibs I've had to send back, misaligned tines, but other than that, I've had pretty good run of Viscontis. Question there, what's the recommendation for a beginner of Visconti pens? Start with a cheap one first. If you don't mind steel nibs, you can go with a Rembrandt, or this is a merry-go-round, which is effectively a Rembrandt. Rembrandt are the entry-level pens. They're magnetic. Steel nibs, number 5 size nib. It's a broad nib. If you like, if you like the price point, you could go up to a Van Gogh. It's a little bit more, but you get much better colour variations. That's the Starry Night that I have, and Pollard Willows. Yeah, could be the chrome that's oxidised. Certainly possible. Rembrandt is a decent pen. It's a steel nib. There are lots of pens with steel nibs. I tend to go more with gold or palladium nibs now. I just tend to like a little bit more bounce to the nib, that you get a little bit more flexibility. But yeah, the Rembrandt is a decent pen. I've only got one Rembrandt. I've got this one as well, which is a really, really nice pen. You're going to hate me for showing you this, though, and I'll show you why. This is the Queen Elizabeth's pen, the anniversary pen. And again, this is another one with gold sparkles in it. And it's just really, really nice. And I said you were going to hate me for this, and I'll show you why. It's rollable. But sometimes you do need a rollable. So, there's that one. There's another one in the Rembrandt style, with a slightly different bridge clip there. This is the Ashton, the Ashford. And it's got lovely chatoyance, but again, actually this is a screw cap one. That's a rollable as well. So I have a couple of Visconti rollables, and then I have some Millionaires and the Ecstasy d'Aude. The Ecstasy d'Aude, which is this one, comes with a rollable converter. I've been trying to get this gold actually to show before, and it's very difficult to show, but if you can see that there, I'm seeing it on the camera, the gold within the cap band there. In most lights, it actually looks just black, and you don't notice it, but when you actually do have some light shining on it, it does look really nice. That's the Ecstasy d'Aude. And that is an amazing pen. It's actually... so here you normally, in the cap, the top of the cap, you normally have like a little bit of fluff that you would put in there, and then you dab it with some perfume. And the idea is that the pen is going to be scented. I've never actually done that. It has a reservoir for perfume. I've never actually filled that. I've always been a little bit concerned that might rust, even though it's supposed to be treated. So I've never actually filled the reservoir with perfume. Rollables, for shame, there are children watching. Well, at least it's not ballpoints. Yeah, ball points would definitely be a problem. I'll show you another one here. This is the Brunelleschi. So this is similar to the lava, but it's instead of made of lava and resin, it's made of terracotta from Florence. And this is a very nice pen as well. And this is a power vac filler. This is inked up at the moment. It's got a medium nib on it, two-tone nib. I'll show you an inkwell. I've got a video review that will be coming out probably in a few days. This is one of the travelling inkwells. Actually, this probably will be going out later today. This is the Ducali Palazzo, or Palazzo. And this is a really, really lovely yellow dawn material. Don't ever mention the BA point. Yes, the ball point. Sorry, I mentioned it. Thoughts on Pinida pens? It's early days with Pinida. I love a lot of these pens from Visconti, and Dante Del Vecchio obviously was the design engineer behind all of them. So I think Pinida will eventually make some really good pens. The material that I've seen at the moment doesn't interest me as much as it does as Visconti or Pelicans or other materials. So, but it's early days. So I think probably once they've brought out maybe a dozen models, I think we'll start seeing some really good celluloid there. So it's definitely going to be an interesting brand to watch. Definitely for sure. That's another interesting pen, actually, which you don't see a lot of. This is the Visconti Race Tech, and this isn't a ballpoint or a roller ball, but it's a carbon fibre, and it is a fountain pen, just to show you, but it does have the chromium 18 nib on it. But that's actually, I think, my only extra fine Visconti. I think that's... I've got other extra fine nibs, but that's my only extra fine Visconti. Yeah, I think Pinida could definitely be interesting. I've seen some of the complaints about the caps scratching the sections, and they've re-engineered some of those to hopefully have them not scratch so much. Again, I think it's teething problems. Hopefully they'll bring out some much better celluloid. And I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on them. This is the watermark. This is a lovely... This is sterling silver. And it's plated with 0.3 microns of palladium. That's what gives it the shine. So that's a very nice pen. And I've got the Camelot as well, which is a stunning pen. I showed this off the other day. I zoom in, you can see the chainmail links on the pen, and the band at the top with the clip as well is just absolutely stunning. So much work went into making this pen. Let's see what else we got. I have some standard operas. So this is an opera Elements with like the cracked ice effect. Some people call it the candy cane. And that's lovely. Another Visconti that's shown a little bit of wear, I actually picked it up like this, is the Visconti Rotary. And it actually came with some verdigris on the cap, so it's obviously got a little bit of oxidization happening. But I actually picked it's got a lovely bouncy 18 karat gold nib, which is absolutely beautiful, and it's a fine nib, but it writes more like a medium to broad. And I actually picked it up for less than what you could buy a palladium or gold nib for. So, to be honest, I wasn't that bothered. I was just going to take the nib out. But I managed to actually do some repairs on this pen myself, and that in itself, it's a lovely, like, lapis blue material. Yeah, the operas are really, really good. In terms of other operas, I've got the Blue Ocean. That's the opera club. I have that one, and then I have, in other operas, I have the opera metals. So I have that True Black that I showed earlier, and then this Monza. Those really are the only ones that I have. I love the Voyagers as well. Voyagers, I only have, I think, a couple of those. I have, 4 with the old style kill clip. I have a Uffizi, which is a lovely green pen with a silver overlay. Which I'll try to zoom in a bit on that one. There you go. That's a really nice pen. That's got a slightly different design nib. It's more sort of shallower shoulders. It's more rounded, although it is a gold, 18 karat gold nib. One's got a bit of nib creep on it. I think the other Voyager I have is that's the Honey Almond, which is very nice as well. So which do I prefer, gold or palladium nibs? To be honest, I would say the gold nibs. I have more palladium nibs than gold nibs, but I definitely do like the gold nibs better. They're more consistent writers. The majority of them are more bouncy or springy than the palladium. You can get some palladiums that are really bouncy and springy, but it's a little bit of a lottery on those. So I definitely would say I prefer the gold nibs more. Yeah, that one does look like a pelican nib on the Visconti Uffizi as well. How many pens do I have inked up at any one time? I haven't checked recently. I did get it down to below 30 pens inked up. Hey, Abel. But I think I'm probably up over 40, maybe 45 by now, perhaps. I always find it very difficult because I like to have a varying selection of nib widths, different pens, different ink colours. I tend to like to match ink colours to colours of pens, so that kind of limits me to a degree, unless it's a demonstrator or a black pen, in which case anything goes almost. So yeah, it can be challenging getting it below 30 pens inked up. Take a little bit of drink there. Where do you pen the inerts for the drawer? Do you mean where do I get these blue pen inserts? These were from Go Pens in the US. There's Go Pens, and then there's I can't remember the name of the other company that makes them, but you can buy them from Go Pens, yeah, and then you just cut them to size. So I have them kitted out in 3 drawers here. But yeah, that's a recent addition. I was using display cases. Like I'd have a display case that had like a tray of 10 pens. But after having 3 of these 30 pen display boxes, I kind of run out of space. So I needed to look at something for the future in terms of growing the collection. Not that I intend to grow it massively, but there is at least 1 pen a month that I will buy, so I have to think for the future as well. Something else I can show you as well I got recently is a lovely, if I can unravel it, a lovely a pen roll, and this is a Thatcher pen roll, but it's actually really, really nice. The material is woven silk, and that's a lovely pen roll. I actually got two. I got one in this colour, and get the other one out, unravel that. I got one in this design as well. I think I like the blue one a little bit more. To be honest, the blue one tends to sort of look a little bit better. IKEA op. Yeah, the drawers definitely were the IKEA ones that I actually got, and then I got the pen tray inserts, and I cut those to size. So they were, that was a really good buy. So that's something that I know other people have done on FPN, Phantom Pen Network. Brian Goulet's done it as well, and it's just the easiest way. It's not the best looking way, but it's the easiest way to kit out, to have a lot of pen storage if you want it. So yeah, that's a good way of doing it. And there's the Visconti Opera Master River Thames, and that's the yellow gold, or the sunrise version. What else have we got here? Got some other. These are the Visconti Millennium arcs, very similar to like the Conklin Crescent. It's got a sack inside, a silicon sack, and that's, you depress that and it fills the pen. That's a very nice material. They have the chromium 18 nib though. Chromium 18 nib's okay, it's a steel nib, or chrome nib, but it's a very rigid nib that very much like a nail, so you're not going to get any bounce from it or any line variation. And then I have some Medici's as well, Visconti Medici. And this is celluloid, but it looks very like wood. And this one, this particular pen is a special one because it actually, is it this pen or is it the other pen? I think it's maybe the other pen. Yeah, the other pen. Picked out the wrong one. So this is the other version of it, and it's a little bit more darker, but it has a lovely wood grain effect on it, and that is a really, really nice. Yeah, journals, writing letters, pick up some pen pals. That's probably an easy way to write more with your pens. If you're in a computer job, you can always take notes in meetings with them, or notes throughout the day. Do I have any possibly more affordable Viscontis to show off? I've got the Rembrandts. I don't know what you mean by more affordable, Abel. But that's the lower end pen. It's a very lovely material. Yeah, I can definitely be your pen pal if you want. I do have a lot. I actually do have, I think about a dozen letters that I need to reply to at the moment. This past week has been really difficult to reply to letters, so I think next week I'm going to be spending a lot of time trying to write back to everybody. But I do get some pen pals that will drop off from time to time, so I'm always willing to pick up more pen pals. So if you want to, that's perfectly fine by me. Some pen pals write almost weekly. Some will write sort of once a month, or take longer even. I think what else we got here? I've got some Twisbys here. This is a Twisby Mini. That's the gold AL version. That's I would say it's inked up, but the ink is almost gone. I had a Wine Divine in there from Diamine, Shimmertastic ink. So that's a Twisby Mini. And then I got some older Conklin Nighthawks here, carbon fibre. So I have a mix of pens. Around 50% of my collection are Viscontis, and about 50% are other pens. Some of them are low-end pens like the Twisbys or Lamis, and then some are high-end pens like the Arcos. Well, you can always write weekly, but take a month to write if you want. That's another option. I know some people that will write literally sort of a paragraph or two a day and not write the whole letter a day. And I've tried to do that. I have difficulty doing that, writing pen pal letters. But some people actually get on with that, doing it. It's an easy way to complete a letter. Feels like slumming if section after the Viscontis. Can be seen like that. Obviously the Viscontis are really nice pens, but I also have some other very nice pens here, like the Pelicans, the Arcos, and that. So it's each to their own. Like, I like the look of a lot of the Viscontis, but I also like the look of Arcos and classic pens and some Conway Stewarts. So at the end of the day, it's a mix really, and I love the stacked celluloids as well. So, but they're all different price points. They range from, well, I'm in the UK, so they range from probably, well, the Lamis are £25 up to several thousand probably. So it really just depends on the pen and the make and the model. I do have one Aurora, yes, washable lawyer. I need to, in theory, get some more. I have the Aurora 88 large. It's just a plain black pen, but it does have has the ink window there. It also has some very long tines. If we're trying to focus on that, is it going to focus? There you go. So you can see there, those tines are very long. So that's a bit of a springy 14-carat nib. And that's the reason why I picked it up. It was more of a springy nib to start with. But that's the only Aurora that I have at the moment, unfortunately. I do want to look at some more Auroras. I have heard from Dan Smith and others that the Auroras do need a lot of tuning out of the box compared to other nibs. I think, again, it's the luck of the draw. Sometimes you can get good ones. I don't actually have any vintage pens, no. I tend to be more modern. Like the oldest pens I have date back to like the 1980s. I don't have anything older than that. So I tend to be more for modern pens than vintage. I have looked at a few Parker Vacuumatics, some of the striped stacked coin celluloids. I like the look of some of those. They tend to be a little bit too small for me. I tend not to like really small pens, and a lot of the Parkers tend to be small. So I've not gone down the vintage route yet. I'm already down a very big rabbit hole here with modern pens. So I kind of sort of made the decision that I didn't really want to go down a second rabbit hole, because that could become even more problematic and even more money draining. I don't know, like Auroras, I don't think they're that hard to get in the UK. I think there's a couple of retailers that do sell them. There's the Aurora distributor in the UK. So you can get hold of them, but yeah, I guess not as many retailers stock them in the UK. Yeah, like I think like it's a mixed bag with Auroras. Like Washable Lawyer, you were saying that your Aurora Nebulosa from Goulet wrote perfectly out of the box, but the nib is definitely a now. Nice flow though. So yeah, I think it is just a mixed case. I think some of them do come out really nice, some are scratchy. I see people complain about Visconti nibs in the same way. I've not really had that many problems. Yes, you do feel a difference sometimes between one nib and the other. One is slightly more smooth, one is slightly more bouncy, but you don't have any, like, for me, it's been rare to have scratchy nibs or misaligned nibs. But I know other people have said that they have had them, so like it could just be like another, like, I don't want to say it's like an old wives' tale with Visconti that doesn't happen. It's just I've seen it very rarely happen to myself. And maybe it's similar with Aurora. Like maybe it's kind of blown out of all proportion, maybe, or blown up a little bit more than it should be, perhaps. But yeah, I think that's the one reason why I haven't gone down the Aurora route any further at the moment is because of that, and also because there's a lot more other Viscontis or Pelicans or classic pens that I would like. So it's really just sort of trying to decide what my next pen is going to be, and I've already decided what that next pen is going to be. But I'm not telling you guys yet, so you're going to have to wait. But there is another pen coming in about a month's time, so and it's a very special pen at that as well. Washable Lawyer, the only issues I've had with some Visconti nibs is baby's bottom. Yes, I have got a few nibs with baby's bottoms. I've even had it on more on a rarer medium nib, not a broad nib. But yes, you can get baby's bottoms from time to time, and that's where the nib has been smoothed too much. You can also find Visconti do smooth, or Bock, who make the nibs for Visconti, do smooth the nibs more than other nibs in other manufacturer pens. So if you're using waxy sort of paper like Rhodia, for instance, then you can find that they may hard start or skip more on Rhodia. If you go to something like Clairefontaine or ultimately Tomoe River, you don't then have that problem. So I started out with Rhodia, I loved it, then went to Clairefontaine, and now pretty much like whenever I write letters or write in notebooks, I use Tomoe River. It's a little bit more expensive, but I find I get a much better consistency from all of my nibs with the paper. One brand that, in my opinion, Penny One, that has the more consistent nibs is Lamy, but TWSBI have pretty consistent nibs too. I'd say, yeah, I would say Lamy and TWSBI are pretty consistent nibs. I find both Lamy and TWSBI write very dry compared to, I guess, what I'm used to with Visconti nibs. I'm used to very wet or very fire hosey nibs with those. So I do like juicy wet nibs, and I do floss the tines on those a lot. Like I think I got a couple of Lamys here. I've got a Lamy also and a Lamy Lux. I have 1.9 stubs in these, and they are still very, very dry. So I've had to floss these tines a huge amount to try and make them more wetter. I think sort of for most people they probably do prefer drier nibs because they then they're more consistent. Like when you're writing in a notebook, you can turn the page quicker. But wetter nibs actually tend to flow better on the page, so I tend to like wetter nibs that way.